This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hi.
He's going to start.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, he's going to start, or still we are waiting for someone?
It will be starting. Just a couple of
Yeah.
minutes.
Hi.
Okay,
Session is about to start. Okay, just give for it.
sure.
Hey guys, are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
So, welcome to the demo, guys. Um, you know, Today I'm gonna walk you through what data engineering is all about, and what I'm gonna cover as a part of this course. Okay, and maybe I'll be taking up your questions towards the end of the session. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Suresh, and having 11 years of experience into data engineering. So right from the day one of my career, I have been working on big data and data engineering technology. Started with Hadoop, where I have implemented traditional MapReduce and Hive. I mean, the reason for calling it as traditional MapReduce because distributed computing in data have started with Hadoop. Okay, so then I moved into Spark, and I then moved into Azure, which is cloud. Okay, and I have hands-on with GCP and AWS as well. Okay, so during this 11 years, I have got chance to work with a lot of industries, companies, and industries of different sectors. Dealt with digital marketing, insurance, banking, asset management. To be precise, right? And have got a training experience of more than 6 years, guys. And I have been training folks on Python and data engineering so far. And yeah, this is for data engineering. Okay. So before we actually get into what data engineering is all about, any idea what exactly data is? Let's try to make this session as interactive as possible. Any idea what exactly data engineering is? Yes, no, maybe.
Um, as per my understanding, it is extracting data from various sources and organizing them in such a way that they automatically get stored into the databases, like the tables we create in the database,
Mhm.
which can be further used for data analysis and
No, we don't even need
decision
to
making.
go there. I'm just trying to understand the definition of data. Just data.
Data is nothing but information.
Then what is information? Okay, let me explain. So, I mean, in day-to-day life, we use data and information in the wrong context, unfortunately. Technically, data is a collection of raw facts. Okay, so that's a bookish definition, though. So, what is raw facts? Collection of, what exactly are these raw facts? Basically, I would say to keep it in a very layman terminology, data is nothing but collection of some attributes, as simple as that. Say, for example, you talk about student data, student ID, student name, student location, or the branch in which a student is studying. All these details would give you student data as a whole. Okay, and then maybe you want to talk about product data, product ID, product name, product price, product category. All those things will give you product data. Okay, so collection of these attributes is what we can call as data. Data is nothing but some text and numbers. To put it in a very layman terminology, data is nothing but some text and numbers. Okay, now talking about information, useful data is what we call as information. Useful data is what we call as an information. Maybe I was given students marks data. Okay, just by looking at that data I'll not be able to interpret anything. But if somebody says the average percentage of this class is 74, meaning if I pick any student in random, his percentage would be in and around 74. It will be close to 74. Okay, or the average percentage of that particular class is 74, meaning most of the students in that class have scored a percentage in and around 74. Okay, so this is what we call as useful data. This is what is information, which is something useful. Okay, now there are a few other terms as well, guys, because let's say when we learn all these technologies we will be called as data engineer. Okay, and there are a couple of other guys too. One is data scientist, and the second one is a data analyst. Any idea what a data scientist does and what a data analyst does? Any idea what a data scientist does and what a data analyst does?
May I?
Sorry, AI. Okay.
Uh, mm, um, data analyst does prepare visualizations from the already prepared data, and data scientists create predictive models
Mhm.
so that new questions can be created and possible predictions can be made.
Okay, that is correct. Okay, but you know, let me explain. Let me detail it and explain. Okay, so these two are our customers. Firstly, these two are our customers. Okay, now I'll take an example and I'm going to talk about this thing. Let's say right now Amazon Freedom Sale is going on. Okay, so it's be it Freedom Sale or Great Indian Sale, whatever it is, right? Now they want to give some offers. Okay, so I'm not considering bank offers over here because bank offers is driven by bank. Okay, but when you talk about the actual offers on the products, so will Amazon give these offers randomly? Do you see offers on every product, guys, during this sale? I want to buy BenQ 4K projector from quite some time now. So every sale I open that product and see if the price got decreased. And I have never seen a single rupee decrease in BenQ 4K projectors in India. So not every product will have offers, right? So even during the sale. So what happens during the sale? Like how do they offer those discounts? So basically, it all depends on this data scientist. So this data scientist would come up with a set of products on which say I mean the discount should be given and how much discount should be given so that the buyer and seller would be happy. Okay, or to create a win-win situation, right? And then maybe uh, there are multiple scenarios, right? Let's say iPhone 17 or iPhone 18 will be released in future, or it's releasing now, and maybe iPhone 12 and 13 are piled up, the stock is piled up. Maybe he want to clear the existing warehouse and to accommodate the new products. Okay, so that's when how much discount should be given on the piled up products so that the stock would be cleared. Okay, so all this kind of analysis will be done by this data scientist. All this analysis would be done by the data scientist. Okay, and for him to do this analysis, he needs data. Okay, now where the data is lying. Data is lying at different sources. Maybe data could be there in their databases, their data warehouses, right? And then probably some data is being generated in real time. So for example, you're a customer, and the moment you open Amazon website and you keep on clicking on various products. Okay, for every click you are making, it is generating some data in the backend. We call that data as clickstream data. Clickstream data. Clickstream data is very useful, guys, even for leads generation. Okay. So, for example, if you are viewing a product in Amazon, if you open some other website, you will see the same advertisement over there. How are you able to see it? Because of this clickstream data. Google try to capture what are the products you are viewing. Okay, and then display the advertisements related to that product in the other websites. So this is an example of clickstream data. For every click you are making, they'll try to understand what you are viewing. You might have heard it in real time as well, right? Maybe people will always suggest you to check flight prices in incognito mode. Okay, because you are frequently searching for a particular flight, there is a chance that price might increase. Okay, so this is all clickstream data. Basically, for every click you make, it generates data in the backend. Okay, so for a data scientist, in order to understand what products people are really interested into, he also need to understand the search patterns of the users. Okay, so here the data is clickstream data, which is real-time streaming data. Okay, and there are other sources of data too. Let's assume Now, data scientist by himself cannot go and get the data and prepare the data so that he can readily run his ML algorithms. Okay. Now he would work with a data engineer to get this done. He would work with a data engineer to get this done. So basically, I'm a data scientist. Okay, maybe I want to come up with discounts, right? Maybe to come up with discounts, I have created a sample data. Okay, created a sample data, and I have tested that sample data with XYZ algorithms. Okay, and now my algorithms are XYZ which I want to run in order to come to a conclusion. Now what I would do is I'll schedule a meeting with my data engineer. I'll tell him, boss, this is the data I would need. Okay, so now it's your job to go figure out where this data is lying and what transformations you want to do. You want to do joins, unions, aggregates, I don't care. Okay, but at the end of the day, this is how I want the data. Requirement to data engineer is given. Now it's responsibility of this data engineer to get all the data from the different sources, what a data scientist need, do all the wrangling, massaging, transformations, they're all the same word, they're all indicating the transformations. Okay, and then get the data ready for data scientist to run his algorithms at a huge scale. Okay, now you might ask me, boss, where does this data analyst come into picture? This data analyst would be creating beautiful reports because have you ever seen the leadership team consisting of technical folks? Leadership team consisting of technical folks. When I say technical folks, who can write a SQL query or who can write a Python code by themselves to understand a few things? Yes, no, maybe you can use your chat window, guys. If you are not comfortable unmuting yourself. Yes, no, maybe. Okay. From my side, answer is no. Okay, at least 90% of the time, because they usually come from B schools. Okay, because they are the ones who drive business. You know, they'll be coming from IIMs or ISBs. Most of the leadership team, okay, are from some business background. They don't understand all these sequels and data that is there in tables. Okay, so they need beautiful visuals. Okay, maybe I want to show them my sales trend, or maybe I want to show them what products are doing good, or maybe I want to show them how the expiry date and transition delays are affecting the manufacturing. Okay, so that is where these data analysts would come into picture. They create beautiful visuals depicting you know all these trends. Okay, now you know this data analyst would also give us the requirement. It's not just a data scientist every time, data analyst, maybe he want to create a sales report, or maybe he wants to create the trends from past 5 years. Okay, so he would need some data. Again, he'll come to us, he'll give his requirement, what needs to be done, how the data should look like, so that he can directly create reports on top of it. Okay, and now it's our job, we data engineers are the ones who would create all these things. Now let's say we have a cloud environment where we want to do all this analysis. Okay, but data need not be there on your environment yet. Maybe data could be there in OLTP. No, I don't want to use any technical jargons today. Maybe data could be there in your on-premise databases. On-premise databases are nothing but the databases that are there and maintained on in your organization. Okay, so these databases or maybe data warehouses or maybe some files. Okay, maybe the clickstream data what I was referring to earlier. Okay, or you know uh, maybe we'll stick to these four sources for now. okay, we'll have to bring this data to cloud first before I do any transformations, right? And that process is what we call as data ingestion. That process is what we call as data ingestion. Okay, so we do data ingestion, meaning we are bringing in all the data from different data sources to cloud. Okay, and once we have the source data in cloud, then we do all the transformations and then provide that data to the data scientist. Okay, and you know for doing all these operations, right, any cloud, be it Azure, AWS, GCP, whatnot, they have their own set of services. Okay, so in Azure, the data services are Azure SQL, which is a database, and then Azure Databricks. This is where actually you can write PySpark code. Okay, meaning you can write code to process your data in the distributed fashion. Okay, it helps you especially when you have some terabytes of data. Okay, and then you have Azure Data Factory, and you have Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Data Factory is usually used for data ingestion and orchestration. And this Azure Synapse Analytics is your data warehouse on cloud, but it's distributed again. Okay, and then we have something called as Event Hub. Event Hub is a messaging queue. We use this especially when you're dealing with real-time streaming data. And then we have something called as Streaming Analytics. Azure Streaming Analytics to deal with the data that is coming in from Event Hub, okay, in a streaming fashion, right? So there are some tools, supporting tools, I would say. One is ADLS Gen 2, which is used for storage, okay, and then we have something called as Key Vault, Azure Key Vault, to store sensitive information, because we don't want to display all the sensitive information, right, on your code, hard coded. So we generally use this Azure Key Vault. And then we have something called as Log Analytics Workspace. This Log Analytics Workspace is where you can track all the logs of the processes you are running. Okay, so this is the complete set of data services we have, data services and helper services. Okay, so in our course, we are going to deal with Azure's ADLS Gen 2, which is ADLS stands for Azure Data Lake Store. Okay, so one moment. Our course starts with ADLS Gen 2. Okay, then I'm gonna start Azure Databricks, and in Azure Databricks I'm gonna start with Spark SQL, where I'm gonna teach you SQL, and then I'm gonna teach you PySpark. Okay, and all the Databricks concepts, like how to create a Databricks job, Databricks workflows, and then Databricks transformation, sorry, Databricks widgets. Okay, and then what a Unity catalog is, what a workspace is, Databricks workspace is, and how do you create volumes. All those things I'll be covering under Databricks. And then Azure, will start with Azure Synapse. Okay, so while we are doing these things, I'll be covering Azure Key Vault as well, because we will be dealing with a lot of sensitive data, especially when you are reading data from ADLS Gen 2. We need to give access tokens. Okay, so we deal with a lot of sensitive data, and I'm going to teach you Key Vault as well. And then Azure Synapse, not Synapse, Azure Data Factory. We'll start with Azure Data Factory. And in Azure Data Factory, we'll talk about a lot of things: what a integration runtime is, what a linked service is, what a dataset is, how do we create self-hosted integration runtime, and I'm going to show you how can you ingest data from on-premise database to cloud storage, okay, and also on-premise file system to cloud storage. And then how do we do all the transformations using data factory? How do we stitch all the services together? This is what we call as orchestration. Say for example, you're doing ingestion using data factory, and then transformations using PySpark in Databricks, and then finally you are using Synapse Analytics as a warehouse. Now how do you stitch these services together and create that end-to-end automated pipeline? Okay, I'm going to show you all those things using data factory when we are talking about data factory. Okay, and then finally we'll talk about Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so this Azure Synapse Analytics, I'm going to talk about how to use Synapse as a warehouse, but I'm going to show you how you can execute Spark code as well, because Synapse provide you a couple of engines, guys. One is SQL engine and second one is Spark engine. Okay, we call them as pools though. SQL pool and then Spark pool. Okay, in SQL pool again we have serverless, and we have something called as dedicated SQL pool, and then you have Spark pool. Okay, so SQL pool and then Spark pool. So I'm gonna talk about all these things and how you can create your notebooks, how you can create external tables, how you can create Synapse tables. Okay, so all these things will be covered. So we actually start with very basics, guys. We'll try to understand what a cloud environment is. We'll try to understand different types of cloud services we have, cloud deployment models we have, like public cloud, private cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, and then cloud services, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, serverless, right? All those things. Okay, so I think you will be shared with the detailed content where I have listed down all the topics I'm gonna discuss in this session or in this course. And the course duration is going to be 2 months. The start date and timings will be announced by Career very soon. Okay, now any questions so far? Any questions?
Are you going to cover advanced topics in Databricks or only basics?
Now you tell me your definition of advanced topics, Rama.
Like there are I have some basic knowledge on Databricks, so there is some medallion architecture or some blah blah stuff came recently. So are you going to cover all those stuff or
That will be covered. Medallion architecture will be covered. Medallion architecture will be covered in ADLS itself. Okay,
okay?
and then we will implement that medallion architecture when we are dealing with Databricks. Okay,
Okay.
so for
Okay.
me, advanced and basic is a little different. So, for example, there are a couple of functions called polish and repartitioning. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you have a basic knowledge, whenever I ask you difference between collation and repartitioning, you will say repartitioning is used either to increase or decrease partitions. Collage
Right.
is only to decrease partitions. But if you have advanced knowledge, you will tell me what happens behind the scenes. When do we have to go for collage? When do we have to go for repartitioning?
Hmm.
Okay, so why repartitioning is expensive than collage? How does reshuffling happens in the back end?
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, and say for example talking about optimization or maybe talking about skewness of the data, understanding what happens internally is something which will be more important. But like I was mentioning, I'll be covering most of the topics.
Okay. Like a
And like,
Delta Lake and what are these?
yes, Delta Lake I'll cover, Delta APIs also I'll cover. How do you interact with Delta Lake using
Hmm.
PySpark APIs?
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, PySpark and Databricks, I'll be covering very extensively, guys, because 90% of the data engineering interviews are driven by Databricks and PySpark.
Yeah, that's correct.
And assuming people not having experience on SQL, I'll be spending a week's time to make you understand SQL as well. Okay, which is Spark SQL. So again, I'll be covering this Databricks widgets, Databricks workflows, different types of computes we have, and how do we create this job compute, right? All those things will be covered. Unity catalog, what is an external location, right? And then how Hive Metastore and Unity catalog are different. All those things will be taken care of.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Any other
for
questions, guys? Yeah.
for understanding Spark SQL and PySpark, do we need to have any prerequisite knowledge on Spark and Python, or we are good to go with this course?
I would always recommend you to have some knowledge on Python. That would certainly help for sure, but
Yes.
that's not going to be a stopper. I'll tell you what happens. Guys, there is a reason why I generally spend most of the time on Q&As. I always want to set the expectations right so that you won't be disappointed, I won't be disappointed towards the end of the session. Because after putting in 2 months of effort, if you come back to me and tell me, boss, this is not something which I expected, I will definitely feel disappointed. So I'll be very fair in answering your questions. Please utilize this time. Okay. Sorry, what was the question? I missed.
Spark or PySpark, I have never worked on it. Basically, I'm
Okay,
an
you're talking about basics, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm
So
a SQL.
SQL
Yeah.
SQL I'll be explaining, what is needed, but Python I'll not be covering as a part of my course. But knowing Python is good to have. But I'll tell you what happens if you don't know Python. Since I'm gonna teach you SQL, you will be able to understand what a joint transformation is, what a union transformation is, what case when statement is doing, or what if then statement is doing, right? Or maybe what a rank function or dense rank function is doing, you'll be able to understand. Okay. Now, when I move to PySpark, you will understand what I'm doing, but you'll always have a doubt in your mind that, will I be able to write this code? Because the syntax wise, it will be Python. You know the operation, but implementation will be in Python. Okay. So you know what is happening, but you always will be in a shell thinking that will I be able to do it? Okay. So if you want to get that confidence, you should be knowing Python. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like I said, it won't stop you from learning anything. And now if we go to Data Factory, we don't use Python. If we go to Synapse Analytics, we don't use Python. Data Factory is all drag and drop tool. It's all configuration driven. Even though you have to do these joins, unions, or whatever the transformations I'm referring to, right? You'll be doing it on drag and drop fashion. Okay. So without Python, you will struggle for 10 days in our course, or 10 sessions, I would say, out of 50 quiz sessions. Again, like I said, when I say struggle, it's not that you won't understand anything. You will understand what's happening, but with an element of doubt in your mind. Make sense?
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Okay. If you don't ask, I'm gonna cover a couple more topics which I wanted to, and then probably we'll close this. I'm expecting another question on the environment. Okay. Boss, now we'll be creating an Azure account. So how much does it cost? Okay. So Azure offers you a free account which is valid for 30 days. If you have already used it, forget about it. Until and unless you have multiple credit cards. For one credit card, you can get up to 30 days. Okay. And this will be around $200 worth. $200 is too much. $200 is too much. We will not be using $30-40 itself. Okay. So Azure free account you can use for 30 days, and our course duration on paper will be 2 months, but I'll be very practical. It will take up to 2.5 months, not more than that for sure. Okay. The reason being, you know, I'll not be doing a one-way talking. You will have questions, you'll ask questions, I'll have to address your questions, right? And sometimes we will have dedicated doubts clarification sessions. Okay. So though I'll have only 40 hours of content to teach, but I would need those 10 additional sessions. Okay. So on paper, I though it is 40 hours, it might take up to 50 hours. Up to, I'm saying, it's not mandatory. Let's say if you have less questions, and uh, if you are understanding everything in the first go itself, you know, we can complete it in 2 months. Okay. And you might ask me, boss, after this 30 days, since our course will be for 2.5 months, what should I do for 1.5 month? Okay, for that 1.5 month, if you go for a premium version, it would hardly cost you 1500 INR, provided you are following all the steps given by me properly and carefully. Okay. But with 1 2 additional settings you are doing, you might end up adding one more zero there towards the end. Okay. If you are more crazy, you might end up adding one more zero. Okay. So you'll have to be very careful with the settings. Okay. But I can show you my usage. So I was taking 2 batches simultaneously. One batch got completed last month. Okay. So your batch will be started very soon. But I just want to show you how much I have consumed for 2 batches. You can keep monitoring this. See, I cannot create trial accounts every month, right? So what is this? Cost management and billing. So this is my last billed amount. Okay. So you can now get an understanding of how much you'll have to pay from your pocket. Okay. Even if you don't want to do that, there is an alternative. Okay. So we will spend good 1 month time on Databricks. Okay. And you have something called as Databricks Community Edition. You can use this. So this Databricks Community Edition will fulfill our requirement 70%. Okay, but there are 30% more, like Unity Catalog, and then Databricks Jobs, Databricks Workflows, and using widgets. These are the few things which are not supported by Community Edition. Okay, for which you need a premium edition, but you can still get 70% of your work done using this Community Edition. Okay, let's say if you want to use Community Edition, I would request you to wait in the first 1 month, use Community Edition, and then probably you can create your licensed version. But I would always recommend you to go with licensed version, because 1500 may you're not getting anything, not even in India. Okay, but here you can learn a lot. Okay, and I'll give you another cheat as well, probably after we complete few sessions, how you can actually use Azure subscription for free of cost. Okay, but again, that might take some time. It will not happen during our course, but you can use Azure subscription for free of cost if you are a Microsoft certified trainer. Okay, I'll tell you how you can do those things, but not now. Okay, so any questions related to this?
Hey, so how many years of experience we need on this to get a job actually in market, or what's the uh, job market for the freshers? if we don't have any idea on these two.
When you say you are a fresher in this technology, or fresher in your experience overall?
Uh, yeah, in experience on
In
this tool, yeah.
experience, I would say, if you are a fresher completely, I don't know, because the job market in India and US is different. You're from US or India?
I'm in US actually.
You're in US, then it will be driven by your consultant, how your profile will be marketed. Okay, but in India, if anybody of you are from India and you wanted to join as a data engineer, start your career as a data engineer, it might not happen with you know big consulting firms like TCS, Infosys, right? Usually they recruit people and then recruit freshers, and then they put them into projects where there is a requirement. Okay, but these days the trend is changing. There are a lot of startups that are blooming in India, in Hyderabad especially. In fact, I myself have worked for 3 startups in last few years. Okay, so we are actually recruiting freshers with data engineering knowledge so that we avoid training cost. Okay, but it might not happen with big companies like Infosys, Cognizant, TCS. Okay, now talking about US market, it all boils down to how your consultant markets your profile. Okay, so I don't think profiles in US are marketed as fresher profiles.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
but talking
And
about
mhm. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry. Go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
No, so with the if I take this course, so on 10, how much myself I can crack the interviews on this. So how much you gonna cover on the the data side to crack the interviews?
This is for everyone, guys. This is a very valid question. Okay, if you just want to rely on my course, okay, and you don't want to put any additional effort, you better don't join this course. Okay, so I'm gonna be brutally honest. Okay, because effort from your side is also needed, right? If you are a fresher, my course will be more than enough. More than enough, mark my words. Okay, for a mid-level engineer, when I say mid-level engineer, my definition of mid-level engineer is 3 to 5 years. Okay, up to 2 years my course is more than enough. 3 to 5 years my course would be 50 to 60% enough, or I would say maybe 70% sometimes. Okay, but if you are going to market your profile with 6+ years of experience, my course would fulfill only 50% of your purpose. Okay, come on guys, I have 11 years of experience. I cannot cover what I have learned in 11 years in just 2 months. Okay, so I'm delivering what best I can do, but I'll be guiding you in every step, like what I have covered, what else is left, learning what else would help you in cracking your interviews. So all that additional effort you'll have to put in. It's a journey. It's not that your miracles would happen in 2 months. Right after completing this course you'll end up getting a job and start writing PySpark code. No, that won't happen. Okay, but if you still think why I'll have to put a lot of effort into data engineering, I don't have to tell you. You can open job portals and see the salary ranges and the number of requirements you currently have for data engineer role. Okay, because you join any course, people would be saying, we have so much demand, and learning this thing will let you earn more than 30-40% of what other areas are earning, right? So I don't want to talk about that. I would let you go and do the research by yourself. Maybe some of you must have already done that. That could be the reason for choosing this course too, attending this demo too. Okay, but I'll let you go ahead and do that. Okay, I hope I answered your question, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, Suresh. Yeah, so definitely we'll keep the efforts. Yeah, with these 2 months of training, yeah, we're not
Yeah,
expecting like, you get your 11 years of experience, but I understand what you said. Yeah, we need to keep our
yeah,
hard work and the same actually. Thank you, Suresh.
no worries. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Hello Suresh, I just have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. So
Yeah, go ahead, Monish.
when I spoke to a couple of people who are right now working as data engineers, what they has to say is like you can't directly get a data engineer role. Like as you mentioned in TCS, Infosys, kind of big companies. Initially, they'll expect you to have a couple of years work experience as data analyst before they give you a responsibility or a role as data engineer. For someone who doesn't have an technical experience, like from a non-technical experience, will they be able to cope up after this course, like putting in all the extra effort and stuff? Will their profile be eligible for the like consideration?
Yeah. Firstly, I'll tell you what, Monish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you talk to people, right, they only share their experiences, what they have gone through. Okay, it's not generic. Day one of my career, I was writing MapReduce code in TCS. Okay, so I
Okay.
joined as a fresher in TCS from college. Okay, and back then it was all Java. So I did really well in Java in my training, and I got an opportunity to work in big data even without having any data background. Just because I know Java, they believed me that I'll be capable enough to write MapReduce applications. Okay,
Okay.
so it's not correct. Even TCS, Infosys, Accenture, they started something called as digital hiring these days. I don't know how many of you know about this, where they offer higher packages to freshers. Okay, so for example, the regular hiring, if they're offering 3.5 lakh in India, for digital hires, they're offering close to 7.5 to 8.5 case on case basis.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't hire people with they won't hire people paying 7.5 lakh to do a data analyst job,
Mm. Makes sense.
right? Okay, so they are training them in the colleges itself. Okay, in 4.2 itself they are training these folks, and pushing them into projects directly. Once they have joined the organization, maybe they'll try to give the project exposure for a month or so, and then they're putting them into projects. This is happening currently. And if you are from a non-technical background, when you say non-technical background, I would say, I don't want to call it as non-technical background, but I would say it's a different background. Maybe you are coming in from an administration side, or maybe you are coming from a QA side. Okay, maybe finding the opportunity in the same organization might be a little difficult. Again, they don't expect you to work as a data analyst. uh, there are two ways of building data solutions, guys. One way of looking at it is knowing what a join is, what a union operation is, what PySpark is, all these things. And the second way is understanding where to apply these things. We know what a join is, but when do we have to apply a join, right? So there are two ways of looking at it. So most of the time in my course, I try to merge these two parameters, because it's not just about teaching you what is what. It's about teaching you where to apply these topics, or where to apply these learnings, whatever you learn, whatever the concepts you learn. Okay, so with proper efforts, yes, I believe you will be able to crack an interview. And also, right, cracking interview differs from one interview experience to another interview experience. Requirement changes, organization changes. Okay, so generally, you know I'm talking about the successful students in my career, my students, right? So they're all having one common attribute: persistency. Okay, so let's say you have completed this course, and maybe you have spent 3 4 months in going through all the concepts and learning all the additional topics I have told you and started giving interviews. You will not get success in first few interviews, or maybe first 10 or first 20, never know. It might go up to 30. Okay. But what I keep telling my students is, boss, you failed in 10 interviews. For 11th interview, you have a question bank of 10 interviews. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So when you're not able to crack an interview, I want you to come back, go to your basics, and then see what questions they have asked, and try to do a 360-degree research on each of these questions, which you are not able to answer. You will end up finding a lot of dependent topics in that process. And if you can do that for 20-30 interviews, imagine your confidence for 31st interview. But the first question you'll have to ask yourself is, am I patient enough to attend 30 interviews? 30 is just a number. It can be 5 interviews, or it can be your second interview too. Never know. This is out of my experience, guys. Again, if you go to somebody else, they might have a different perception. Make sense?
Thank you, Ji. That answers my question. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Bhaskar, are we going to do any kind of project implementation? Let me tell you, project implementation is a myth, especially in training. People talk about a lot of real-time project stuff, right? No. Okay. So we are going to build solutions. Answer is yes. Okay. So for example, I want to teach you write mode in PySpark. There are multiple modes like overwrite, append, and then merge. Okay, I'll not just teach you what overwrite is doing, what append is doing, or what merge is doing. Instead, I'll tell you what an SCD type 1 is, SCD type 2 is, and how you can implement SCD type 1 and type 2 using append and merge modes respectively. Okay, so solution based teaching and use case based teaching will be there, but don't expect any real time projects. I don't have GBs of data to teach you anything real time, and also I'm not rich enough to spend so much of money dealing with GBs or TBs of data. Okay, and obviously there are a lot of cost parameters as well. Even you will end up paying more prices, more cost if I have to deal with GBs of data. Okay, so project solutions, yes, but I don't want to add the real-time word there. But I'll give you insights on how the real-time project works. I'll be talking about my projects. Hope that answers your question, Bhaskar. Okay, any other questions, guys? Cool. So one request from my side before you leave, just you can probably type a comment on how do you feel about today's interaction. Just a kind of feedback, guys. If you are able to get some insights on what is what you are going to learn, just some feedback.
Gee, sorry to interrupt. I just have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I was watching the previous batch's demo class recording, and they have mentioned them about recommending some certification so that the profile will be built before we actually give our interviews. So, like,
DP203.
yeah, I actually don't remember the code, but
That's
I
okay.
remember recalling it.
Yeah, no, what was your question?
So, will you also do that for us, like to recommend the certifications based on the beginner or else the kind of
I
requirement?
usually recommend certifications for folks in US because for them certificate matters a lot. Okay. because what I believe is certifications doesn't have any value these days. At least my perception, not just my perception, but in India we don't care whether you had a certification or not, because these days I'll give you an example. I have two openings in my current organization, and I have rejected more than 45 profiles. And trust me, out of those 45 profiles, 42 profiles are certified profiles. The reason being, you want to get certified, I'll give you a way where you can get certified tomorrow if you have good memory. You don't even have to learn anything. All you just need to do is spend maybe 1500 INR, and you will be getting certified tomorrow itself. Okay, but
Yeah.
since certification is fancy, to add it in our LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe to add it to our profile, I'll be telling you how to crack it. But yes, if you are certified, if you really want certification, you can do it tomorrow itself.
Okay.
Okay, but my recommendation, learning and doing it will give you more satisfaction. Okay, but I'll guide you like what is needed, what certification you'll have to take for you to showcase your skills.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
no worries. I'm from .NET background. What I have to learn to start this course, maybe since you are coming from a programming background, for you learning Python won't be a difficult to. Maybe just a simple brush up should do. Do can we can do data engineering fundamentals in Microsoft that could help us for data analyst? Dharini, firstly, I would recommend you to understand the roles and responsibilities of a data analyst. So usually, doing data engineering fundamentals won't make you a data analyst. Okay, so data analyst responsibilities are bigger. Okay, so usually they work in both reporting and functional side of any organization. Do we have recordings of previous sessions? When you say previous sessions, my previous batches? If your answer is yes, we do have, but another answer will not be sharing them with any other batches, because every batch recordings are completely exclusive for those batches only. Okay, once we start our batch, we will record everyday sessions and upload them to Google Drive from where you can access. Okay, and maybe if you are in a doubt like how the course would be and other things, you guys are not paying anything on the day one. Okay, you'll be attending few sessions, and then if you really like the course, only then you'll pay. Okay, but previous batches recordings will not be provided. Okay, I will be wrapping up in next 5 minutes, guys. I'll still stay if you have any questions. Okay, but I want to hear from you too. Please leave a note on how you felt about today's session. Yes, Monish.
Okay. Thank you.
In fact, when I'm teaching, I would assume you don't even have that. So it will be little boring for the folks who already knew it in the first few sessions. But that's okay.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you all. Enjoy your weekend. Happy learning.